The woman never expected that she was just picking up a few boxes of free eggs. Then she used the code printed on the eggs to enter a raffle. Unexpectedly, she won a Mercedes-Benz. The woman was overjoyed. She felt like she was God's chosen lucky one. But her daughter-in-law felt something was seriously wrong. The daughter-in-law stopped her mother-in-law, who was about to fill out her ID information to claim the prize. She insisted on reading the contract first. The scammer on stage immediately gave a signal to his accomplices in the audience. The next moment, the accomplices started bidding. Someone even offered $50,000 to buy the woman's winning code. The daughter-in-law thought it was risk-free money, so she encouraged her mother-in-law to sell the code. But the greedy mother-in-law thought the car was worth $400,000. Selling it for $50,000 was too much of a loss, so she ignored her daughter-in-law's objections and insisted on signing. But that wasn't the end of it, because the scammer also asked her to scan her face. The daughter-in-law knew that once they collected her facial data, they could easily transfer all of her money later, or even do worse things. But the mother-in-law wouldn't listen at all. She resented her daughter-in-law for taking over the family finances. She was determined to use this chance to regain her pride, so she stubbornly completed the facial scan. Blinded by excitement, she didn't realize she was already a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. The scammer then moved on to the next step of his plan. He told her to buy a retirement insurance plan. As long as she deposited $5,000, she would get $500 back every day. Such a high return was obviously suspicious. The daughter-in-law warned her that it was clearly a scam, but the mother-in-law refused to believe it. She took out the $100,000 meant for her husband's surgery. The daughter-in-law tried to stop her in a panic, because that was her father-in-law's life-saving money. But the mother-in-law still handed the money to the scammer. The mother-in-law proudly told her husband and son that she had struck it rich. She demanded to take back control of the family finances. But when the father and son heard this news, they immediately realized something was terribly wrong. As they anxiously asked for details, the door suddenly opened. The police walked in with serious faces, because the daughter-in-law had found out that the Mercedes was on installment payments, and the car was still under the company's name. With the police's confirmation, the mother-in-law finally panicked. But just then, she received a notification saying her investment had been credited, and the scammer told her that although the car was on installments, she didn't need to make any payments. The company would pay every month. That made her proud again. But the police said the car didn't belong to her at all. Once the scammers stopped paying, the bank would immediately repossess the car, and after tracing the funds, they found that the $100,000 had been transferred to an overseas account. Even so, the mother-in-law still refused to believe it, because she had just received that day's interest payment, a full $10,000. The police told her it was a classic scam trick. The first payment was meant to make her feel confident, but once she invested more, she would lose everything. But by then, she was already obsessed. She wouldn't listen to anyone. Her husband got so angry that he collapsed on the spot. The son and daughter-in-law rushed him to the hospital. They told the mother-in-law to stay and cooperate with the police to help recover the stolen money. But as soon as they left, she angrily drove the police away. You can't save someone who refuses to be saved, and the police couldn't legally stop her from being scammed. The scammer called her again. This time, he offered an even bigger bait. If she invested $1 million, she would get $100,000 in daily interest. The mother-in-law was instantly tempted, but she didn't have that much money. The scammer kindly reminded her that she could sell her house, so she fell for it again. She mortgaged her house for $1 million and transferred all of it to the scammer. But she didn't realize this decision would end up killing her husband. After doing all that, she proudly went to the hospital. When her son and daughter-in-law found out she had sent all $1 million to the scammer, they were shocked and furious, because their father urgently needed surgery. They had planned to mortgage the house to pay for it, but now the house was gone, and so was the money. But the mother-in-law firmly said, by 6 tonight, $100,000 in interest will be credited. Her son and daughter-in-law knew that money would never come, so they wanted to call the police immediately. But the mother-in-law stopped them. She said she would cut ties with them if they didn't listen to her. The reason she was so stubborn was that just moments ago, when other family members accused her of being scammed, she angrily cursed at them. They retorted that she'd lose every penny. Then suddenly, a message popped up. a payment received. Proudly, she showed that she had received $20,000 in interest. But her daughter-in-law said, "That's just the scammer buying time. We have to call the police right now." But the mother-in-law insisted that in 10 minutes, the rest of the money would arrive. But would the $1.1 million she'd sent to the scammers really ever come back? Just then, the doctor hurriedly told the family, "The father's condition has become critical during surgery. We need to use an expensive medical device immediately. They have to pay for it right now. If we delay any longer, the patient will die." But the mother-in-law stayed completely calm. She told the doctor rudely, "The money will arrive any minute now, and I'll be getting $100,000 in interest every day." She demanded the doctor use the expensive equipment right away, but the doctor had to follow hospital protocol. Without payment, they had no authority to use it. There were only 10 seconds left until 6 o'clock. The mother-in-law stared at the countdown on her phone. Everyone else stared at her. The air felt frozen in place. Only the ticking of the clock echoed in everyone's hearts. The son and daughter-in-law were burning with anxiety, but the mother-in-law remained certain. Yet the moment the countdown hit 0, everyone's faces changed dramatically.